Paul, your season ended in Salt Lake, Game 6 to the Jazz in April. Describe what you felt at the end of that run was next for you in your career with and with the team.
Well, I think, by the end of that season last year, I put a lot into the season, and it was a difficult year. Playing through injuries, playing through a new team, new teammates, new coach, new program, new city. It was just a lot, and I felt mentally, it was one of the roughest seasons, just in that aspect, everything being so new and fresh. But at the same time, it felt that I've gained enough chemistry, I've gained enough relationships that I wanted to continue on and pursue, what we can accomplish sticking together with that group.
How much last season did you spend searching for how you fit, how to play with Russ, how to play with Carmelo?
I think it was the whole season. The whole season was trying to figure out like how, and whether we said it or not, I felt like, how can I make Russ better? How can I make Melo better? How can I get Melo shots? How can I free up opportunities for those two? And whether we all said it or mentioned it, I know we all were thinking it. And you could tell on the floor that sometimes we were, caught in between of be aggressive, be passive, share it, score it. Like it was an ongoing thing where we were trying to just figure each other out.
Did you feel often that you were just being too deferential?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I felt we had an identity, but at the same time, I won't say we were consistent with that identity. We were trying to figure out one another.
But you never felt like you were deferring more to the rest of the group versus taking the opportunity to be aggressive and go try to dominate?
At moments.
Yeah.
At moments, I felt, I would defer to Russ or defer to Melo. Melo being a proven scorer in this league, Russ being his team, we were joining. I felt there was moments, but I don't think I ever put my foot or took my foot off the gas too much.
How did you respond to Billy Donovan early in your time here, running a lot of plays for you, trying to run offense for you?
Well, what's tough for me is I mentioned to Billy, I always like to play with randomness. I've never been great with play calls, and I just feel it puts pressure on things where it doesn't need to. I like to get a feel for the game, read my defender, read the team, read what the other defenders are doing, and kind of just play amongst that. I like a little bit of chaos and making something happen from that. So it was we had a lot of combo last year. We had a lot of combo coming into this year on my play style and what I like to bring to the table.
When your season ended last year and you and Russell got together and spent time talking, what were you talking about?
Just how can we improve, and how can we continue on building. We had combos of just really how can we get to the next level? What is it going to take, and what can we do to make each other comfortable, both playing our games?
What did you find that Russell values in a teammate?
I think Russell values just giving everything you have, just being locked in, doing your job, and just having accountability out there on the court. Russ don't care about you making shots. It's all about effort, energy, and just being locked in over a full game.
As you played in the league over the course of your 8 seasons, what did you start to think was important in an organization and what you wanted in an organization?
I think when you get a feel for top to bottom, where everybody is in for that, whatever that agenda is, if it's to win a championship, if it's, be in the community, I think whatever that organization has at the top of their list, I felt top to bottom, everyone felt and wanted that same thing. And It's in Oklahoma. I think everything they do is at a championship standard, and you can feel it. You can feel Sam, Clay Bennett, they're ready to win. We're ready to win. And I honestly believe we truly gonna make it happen.
When you were making your free agent decision prior to July 1, did you make it with the idea in mind that LeBron would be with the Lakers?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You know, of course, at the time, I wanted to go, you know, obviously play back in LA, regardless of what was going to happen. I didn't care if I was the first one and the only player to join the Lakers. It was just something about being back home and playing in front of a franchise I grew up watching and loving. But then, you know, things change when you're somewhere else for a year, and again, you get relationships, you start to feel a part of something different. And it was short-lived. You know, I was only there for a year, and I liked, you know, every bit of being there for a year.
When you left Indiana, what was your evaluation of why the Lakers might make sense for you? Was it anything beyond the uniform, the marketplace at that time?
I thought a little bit of everything. I thought marketplace. I thought, you know, back home, close to family, close to my mom, and you know, I thought eventually that's where I will finish. I would finish my career in LA as a Laker.
At what point in your first season in Oklahoma City did you start to think to yourself, I'm pretty confident I'm going to stay here?
I think midway through the season. I think once we were fully healthy, we had Dre back with us. We started winning games. We went on a crazy run in a great stretch where we were playing some of our best basketball. And then that was right before Dre went down. But that time leading all the way up until Dre's injury was kind of where I saw where this team could go.
Paul, how much were you calculating too at that point about whether you could ever be an MVP candidate by staying in Oklahoma, playing with Russell? How much of a part of that was in your thought process?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily, you know, go into a season with an individual goal. I think that kind of just happens. You know, I think every player goes into the season wanting to play their best and wanting to do the best for their team, and whatever is given on that night, each individual is willing to give. And if that puts you in the talk of being the MVP, then, you know, obviously there's momentum that gains to it that you know you got to play at a level and want to play at a level for your team to win and give your team a chance. But going into the season, that's never an individual agenda that I have.
How much has your body changed from the end of last season to the player who came back with the Thunder this year?
It changed a lot. It changed a lot. I cleaned my diet up, started eating a lot healthier, started to get a lot more sleep and doing a better job with rest. And I mean, honestly, it changed within a 2-3 week span where I noticed a big difference.
What had your habits been before making that kind of a change?
I'm a gamer, you know. I'm a gamer, Woj, so, you know, that calls for some late nights being up playing. And, you know, you do get an appetite when you're up later. So I was a snacker. And you know, I think I was in that transition of being, oh, I can still do it. I can still eat whatever I want and still go out. Because I've done it, you know, 3-4 years in my early career. Then it gets to a point where, you know, you try it out, right, and you notice the difference, and it's like, oh, I'm never going back to that again.
Was that a realization you came to on your own, or were there people talking to you about that idea?
No, I mean, I think one of the best gifts and biggest thing I notice about myself is I self-analyze a lot. I'm a very internal person, and I had a convo with myself, and I said, man, if you want to keep up with Russ, this is not going to work. I'm going to have to slim down. I'm going to have to watch what I eat. I'm going to have to control my sleep. I'm going to need every bit of energy that I can get. And, you know, I think that's only going to be better for this team.
Was that part of it on a night-to-night basis or a day-to-day basis, practicing with him, playing in games, where you say, I got to play faster, I've got to be in better shape? He's the measure of that for me.
I think just moving from east to the west, I think just that transition alone, primarily for how our play style is, but I think just being in the West and playing this style on a nightly basis played a lot to do with it as well. That I have to slim down, I have to get a little faster, a little quicker, and just more endurance if I'm gonna run and play at this level.
Did it immediately feel when you came back this year that your game was elevating or was going to elevate because of how your body felt?
Yeah. You know, I just felt, you know, really good, again, energy-wise. Stepping on the floor, I just felt fresh. And, you know, there was no part of me that had a mental fatigueness or, you know, I just felt everything was connected from the second I touched that floor.
Has it felt this year like your command of the game, your command of your talent, has gone to a level you haven't felt before playing the game?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, I've had stretches where I've dominated in this league and took on the best matchups on a nightly basis and won those matchups on a nightly basis. I've done that. I think where I've made the growth is understanding how and you know, getting up for it on a nightly basis. I think, you know, limiting the stretches of having rough shooting nights and I think all of that comes with the rest that I'm bringing to the game. What I'm eating is helping. You know, I think that's just the energy that I'm getting through taking care of my body.
What's the most difficult thing you had to give up?
Probably, man. And I wouldn't say I necessarily gave it all the way up, but I've limited to maybe once or twice out of a month, and that's fried chicken. Mm-hmm. I can't give up fried chicken.
Did you?
I'm a southern kid. I'm a southern kid. It's hard to give up some country food.
How much do you think Russell's view of you, your relationship, changed once you made a commitment to stay in OKC?
I think it went to the next level, certainly. And I don't necessarily think me not choosing Oklahoma would have, you know, caused any friction between us. But him understanding that I was back and I wanted to go on this journey of trying to bring a title to Oklahoma with him, gave him assurance that, you know, he's got a running mate and you know, he's got somebody there to stick with him.
Outside of the people maybe closest to you, was it hard for some people to understand why you wouldn't go to LA, why you'd stay in OKC?
Absolutely. You know, I have so many family members. My parents, they love Oklahoma, but you know, my dad's been a lifelong Laker fan. My grandmother been a lifelong Laker fan, and they didn't quite get it that I didn't, given a chance and opportunity to do so, that I didn't decide to come back home. So there was, you know, at the end of the day, they're Paul George fans, and whatever Paul George is, wherever I'm at, my family goes. So they were all with the decision, but you know, it was some combos I had to have with a couple people.
When you see how things have gone with the Lakers this year, how it's going with you, have you felt validated at times that I made the right decision for me?
You know, my only concern is what's in front of me. I never got sidetracked and never, you know, passed judgment on whatever's going on that I have no control over. You know, whatever's going on in LA is going on in LA. I got a lot of stuff to deal with in Oklahoma.
When your team is healthy together, and if that's the case going into the postseason, are you Golden State's biggest threat?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, I think a lot of teams pose threat to Golden State, as we all should. I mean, every team is going for Golden State. Every team has to go through Golden State. But it's so competitive out west. We got a lot of matchups that we got to go to before we even get to Golden State. So we just got to clean up who we are as a team first before we get to that.
You know, Adam Silver said recently that he thought there were a lot of unhappy players in the league. Might be some reasons for that. First, did you agree with that? Did what he say have some merit?
I'm not sure on what scale. On what scale of unhappiness are guys going through? That's what I'm not sure of.
Free agency, the constant talk, it's a 12-month-a-year conversation. Even from the time you got into the league, does it feel like it has created more unrest with, you know, for locker rooms, you know, for the cities where players might come, that it is always a part of the daily conversation in the NBA?
I think so. I think so. You know, you see it now. It's the media trying to tear apart locker rooms. It's the media trying to make a story. You know, everybody wants some clickbait. Everybody wants news or you know, is searching to draw some attention somewhere. I think it is making guys unhappy, and it is putting pressure on guys where it doesn't need to be. You know, in Kevin's situation where he's trying to win a championship and he's all in with the team he's with. Whatever his future is his future. That's nobody's concern but his. And for people to, you know, try to bring his situation up and try to turn him against the team, while this is, you know, probably going to be one of the toughest championship run for that group, trying to go for 3 times in a row. It's frustrating, and I understand it being in that situation, going through the media.
But the role too teams play in this, because teams are creating cap space. You know, a free agent knows who wants him. They understand the teams that are going to pursue them. There's always a lot of back channeling that's going to go on, and that's got to contribute to it too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's tough. It's part of what we got to deal with. It's tough. There's always going to be narrative, but you know, I think as much as guys can limit that and just keep the focus where it needs to be, the better.
Paul, how do you measure what an MVP is in this league?
Honestly, I think it's whatever. The MVP should be valued on whatever he's doing for that team to win, and it could vary. You know. You take a guy like James, who everyone's talking about, he doesn't play defense. Well, he does what he has on offense for that team to win. Giannis does what he has on both sides. Myself, I do what I have to do on both sides. I think it's just valued as, you know, whoever does what it takes for their team to win should be, you know, the biggest thing that stands out.
For you, the pride you take in being a two-way player and dominating on both ends, I mean, in your mind, is that what your candidacy would be to people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's fun. It's fun to take on the challenge of getting to guard the best guy on a nightly basis. And it's fun to take the challenge on being guarded by the best guy, the best defender on a nightly basis. I think that's what it's about. Wanting to play both ends, wanting to lock the guy you're up against as well as scoring the guy you're up against and helping your team win. I think when you look at the best players that played this game, all of them were two-way guys.
In what ways has Russell allowed you and helped you to put yourself in this MVP conversation this year?
I think he just allowed me to play my game. Again, we had a convo to start this year off of how can we both make each other better and how can we both help the team. And the biggest thing was he just told me to be myself. play my style, play my game, play at my speed, at my level that I'm comfortable with. And I've been able to do that. I've been allowed to just play, go out and play. And it's a lot of pressure when you got a guy, it's a lot of pressure taken off of me when you got a guy that's a triple-double, walking triple-double, and all I got to do is guard the best guy and score.
Did
makes
you
the game easy.
Did you need to hear that from him?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because we can both just say, hey, you do you and I'll do me. That's an easy convo. But to have narrative on what exactly you need me to bring to the table and what exactly you want me to do out here and how can I exactly help you, that gave me direction on what I needed to do for this season.
The December game in Brooklyn, 25 points in the fourth quarter for you, game-winning shot, and you win the game on a play where Russell draws a couple defenders to him and you're wide open and you win the game. Did that night feel like a little bit of a threshold into kind of an MVP caliber season? It catapulted you?
I think it did from, outside looking in, but I mean, I don't look at it that way. I did what we had to do to win the game. I'm not caught up and super wrapped up in this MVP talk. I just, fact of the matter is, what everybody knows, I struggle to make, or I've been struggling to make shots when it comes down to the wire. Okay, I don't worry about, none of that. What I was doing was shooting a shot and trying to make a shot to win us that ball game. Everything else, I don't have concern about.
Once you had done that, did it feel like, I'm glad to have that load off. I'm glad I don't have to hear about that anymore.
I think more than anything, just seeing the ball go in on those moments helped me with the Utah finish, helped me with the Philly finish. I think just being able to calm and not speed myself up in that moment helped me on it's like stepping into a game with no rhythm and you need to see the ball go in for some rhythm. I think me seeing that ball go down in that moment gave me rhythm for those opportunities.
Is part of it a compliment? Because when you get to be a player at your level, there's not many things people can say you haven't done yet. So they're going to find the one or two.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many guys probably who have a list as short as you do.
Mm-hmm. In that aspect of
finishing?
that
it's almost at times it's a compliment that they're going to find the one or two things because another guy might have 10 or 15 things he hasn't done yet in this league.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's that just is what it is. So many people that nitpick but that's everybody has an opinion, and I'm fine with that. Everybody is going to be opinionated over something.